So where we took the sill off, there's obviously bits of sill still stuck to the bits we need to weld to. So there's like a flange here, which is part of this panel. This panel, when it's replaced, will sit on just on top of the sill, so we know where the sill lines up. Here we know perfectly where it's lined up on the cross member because we measured it, you'll remember from the last video. So this is made up of a base, like here. I'm going to measure the thickness, but I reckon it's 2.5. We put 2.5 in anyway. I'm going to put 2.5. We'll run it. That looks like a weld seam, right? You can see that's a welding seam there. So I think we patch it with a plate in here to get this solid. And I'll cut this out actually. So we'll weld it in situ while this is still here. And we'll take this off and we'll build that flange out. So first things first is put that in. This back there is a bit of a nightmare because, as you can see, this is part of this. The floor's there, so that needs another patch. But I reckon that's going to be quite difficult to do from here. I think we can only do that on the rotisserie. So I think if we get the shape right, we get this base plate welded in, we get this fixed here, and we get this welded into here because we can get to there. Then I reckon we worry about the floor when we get the car on the rotisserie, and we'll replace that in a panel because it's partly in here. Look, I think once we start cutting it out, we'll get a better idea of how we can put it back together. But if you look at Sean's picture, this is just a box here. It's like a flat there, and then this in the ASR DBS restoration, it just looks like a box. It doesn't look like, because everything's going to run off this. We have to keep that as where the sill fits, because I know the sill goes just under there, back of the sill, and if we've got it right, then it'll line up with the measurements we took from here, whatever it was, I can't remember, but we've got those in the video. Cool. Right, cutting. Here we go. Fun times. I'm going to cut this section out first. There's a big plate in here, so I'm going to cut down here because I've got the line. This has all got to come out at some point, but these parts haven't arrived yet. So you can see where this plate meets the bottom of this. There's a weld, because the welds always survive. That would sit there. That's the end of the sill. This bit here is the floor. So this is a line of steel that goes up to here, and then there's a second piece that goes across to there, and then that's the floor. Someone mentioned that the garage is a bit of a mess, and I agree that there are lots of parts. There's not much we can do because we don't have a lot of space. We are going to buy some more racking, but the reason why you see lots of cardboard and stuff kicking about is because of this. Like this section in here, I've measured it accurately, and now I'm making a template so I can overlay it on a piece of sheet steel and cut it out. So I think it needs to be there. Yeah. Anyway, because I'm very clever, I measured it. That's surprising. What? That's surprising. What, that I measured it? Then we can have some lunch. out. There we go. It's packed. We're about to weld the plate in here. Yeah, it's probably not the way it was originally done, but it's absolutely fine because I'm using 2.5 mil plate, and I think it was only 2 mil. It's going to be properly welded down the seam. Then we're going to replace the seam on the other side. So where we've got the seam, it's going to be double welded anyway, so it'll be absolutely fine. It's just so much easier to make it up like that because of the mess this car's in. Mike, yeah, so that's welded now. I'm going to grind it down and show you in a bit. So don't worry about this. This is all being replaced, but I'm going to fit the sill first because there's a whole lot of stuff that needs to be replaced up here, but I'm going to fit it because I know exactly where the lines are. Then I'm going to, this is all new metal in here. But we can fit the sill now to this. Just tack it here, and we're going to cut that out, this section out. You can see that's been all cleaned up now, so I'm going to grind it off because you know, what do you call it? You used to get grease on them when they're being made. So I've got panel white, rub them down with like a T40 grit sander, the orbital sander, and then rub it down with panel white, which is what any painter would do, and then use red oxide paint to paint it. I'm going to do that now. I don't have any panel white, but Thinners does just as good a job. Anyway, that's looking pretty good now. Put that back on. The lid on that. Right, I'll do a few strokes and then I'll come back to it. So that's where the sill's going to sit.